going with our live stream very soon. Just enjoy some music in the meantime till we get some people on the stream. Welcome. That some people write messages that they're irritated with music at the beginning of our broadcast, but the reason we do it is so people can join the stream. We just start right away. You're going to miss the beginning of the show, so we're doing a favor for you. You know, it's a favor to you to listen to some music just for a couple minutes. Okay, just hang in there.
My, oh my, it is a fabulous weekend day. I hope you are all enjoying your weekend. I decided to do a special super chat to cover some odds and ends, mostly odd.
Yeah, very odd, very odd.
Things that have been happening, and to talk about them, to get to the bottom of them, because I think they're incredibly important. Such as the appearance, the cameo appearance of Jean Faraon Nadim and Paloma Zuniga Delint, a.k.a. Paloma for Trump, a.k.a. Pendeja for Fraud, in a show about cartel members or ex-cartel members or trying to reform themselves, cartel members, family members of people in cartels, on VH1 called Cartel Cruise.
Oh, yeah.
And I need to break down what this propaganda, this very, very damaging propaganda in this show, I need to break it down for you so you can understand what they're selling, the BS they're selling you, and who's involved in it. There's a lot of people involved in it. I know some of you have seen it because many of you alerted me to the fact that this particular episode features border angels and Paloma for Trump. So, of course, immediately I had to go and research this and watch it. And I was just as infuriated by the content, the whole thing, as the people that sent it to me, watched it, and screen captured it, etc. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about on the Super Chat tonight here on A Mexican Crossing Lines. with your host, Cindy Gomez-Schempp.
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You're listening to 88.1 FM KPPPLP, Fargo-Moorhead, where we are always adding local color to your airwaves. No different tonight. We're also going to bring you an update on the arrest of Omar Navarro, California candidate for the congressional district opposing Maxine Waters.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about it on my show before. In fact, I did a whole show not too long ago, right here.
Exactly.
On YouTube.
We did.
Talking about Omar Navarro and how Omar Navarro was a fraud, a dangerous fraud at that. Conniver that is basically, pickpocketing people's money and doing it not to really oppose Maxine Waters, because this guy takes a fall over and over again. He's lost terrifically to Maxine Waters every single time and to everyone else that's running. But also to warn that this guy is a predator that's been convicted on numerous occasions of abusing his ex-partners, of putting illegal tracking devices on them, stalking them like some sort of psychopath.
Yeah, creep.
And the latest information about that is he got arrested again. Navarro cannot control himself.
Nope.
He doesn't understand the meaning of the word no, it would appear. So all of that, we have to break it down for you on my show here on A Mexican Crossing Lines. And I want to thank all of those of you who are joining us on this lovely weekend evening and who support our show. You can do that by sharing this YouTube video. Support us by donating to our super chat if you feel inclined to continue this work on this independent station. You can also make a donation by going to our website, kpppfm.com, where you will also find all of our other shows, as well as follow us on our social media, like this YouTube channel, Duke1517. Subscribe, hit that like button, hit the little bell button so you can get notifications.
That's right.
And follow us on our social media on 88.1 FM, Fargo-Moorhead on Facebook, on Twitter at
BT_PPP.
Yeah, you do the rest, dude.
Oh.
Tell them the rest.
I'll tell you the rest. And another thing is that, it's media at media_PPP. Also, you can email us, Cindy at kpppfm.com, or me, Duke at kpppfm.com. We also have a message line. I've been trying to make it work right. So if you've left a message, I probably haven't heard it yet because I'm trying to fix it. But when that's working, you can call us at 701-566-0917. That's 701-566-0917. Leave a message up to 3 minutes. Tell us what you want us to hear, Just give us a message, a voice message. Also, Cindy mentioned that you go to kpppfm.com, and if you would like to make a donation to our organization, our nonprofit organization, because we are a non-commercial, nonprofit radio station that airs in the Fargo-Moorhead community, and we do Facebook Lives and YouTube Lives on Duke 1517, and also at 88.1 FM on Facebook. Go to kpppfm.com/donate and make a tax-deductible donation. You can make a year-end donation because, coming to the end of the year, the end of the tax year, money that you would donate to us, it eases your tax burden, helps us out, helps you out. We'd really appreciate that. Also, we have underwriting opportunities where we are okayed by the FCC to do what's called underwriting. It's kind of similar to what PBS does. It's basically, if you have a business or something you'd like to promote on our radio station, you would make a contribution, a tax-deductible contribution, and then you would get your name mentioned on the air, a little bit about your business. And we're going to thank last month's underwriting sponsor, PalomaForTrump.com. Make my life great again. PalomaForTrump.com. That's Paloma, number 4, Trump.com. If you'd like to do underwriting, you can also go to kpppfm.com and click on the underwriting tab, read a little bit more about that, get a hold of me, get a hold of us, and we'll accommodate you and make sure that you are recognized for your contribution, your philanthropy, and your support of our station.
Folks, I want to tell you why I was so disturbed by this show on VH1 featuring Pendeja for Fraud, otherwise known as Paloma for Trump. And it is because of the damaging propaganda that this show represents. First of all, we have seen numbers of stories about Paloma, which include the one where she was the reason, the motive for expedited asylum for Maria Mesa, the woman that became famous in all of the videos and pictures, running through tear gas at the U.S.-Mexico border near Tijuana. And many others, including the most recent that went viral on Twitter of her shoving a migrant child and then boasting that she made him urinate his pants.
Exactly.
A vile thing for anyone to brag about, understood, but we're talking about a vile person. And what I have tried to impart to my audience through the shows, the many shows I have done about Paloma for Fraud, is that this woman is an actress. She is not just an actress. She has admitted to people that she has sex in exchange for money. And by the way, Jean Faraon Nadim, her husband, knows about it, promotes it, and doesn't care. We know that she has, according to people that have given their testimony to our show, she has blackmailed people, extorted money from people, and then, of course, there's the stalking. Exes, people that had some kind of a physical and or romantic connection to Paloma, soon found out that she does not know how to take no for an answer. All of these very disturbing traits and qualities that we came to learn are also part of the makeup of the profile of her friend and person running for Congress she was recently promoting drunk while hiccuping.
Yeah.
Omar Navarro.
That's right.
He too has a history of stalking exes, putting tracking devices on their cars, stalking them online. And so there are very interesting and important similarities that you need to notice about these folks. And some of what this overlaps into is migrants. One of the friends that Paloma for Fraud hid from you, never told you about, was Sonia, whose real name is Christina, the woman who is a human smuggler, known to be by Paloma then and now, that she was admittedly friends with. And another person she lied about how she met, Ivan Riebling, who's also a human and drug and weapons smuggler, currently in prison. But there are many other unsavory characters that are involved with this smuggling operation, with this smuggling that's happening at the U.S. border. And those are the people that are featured in this show called Cartel Cruise. So let's get into the show itself and take a look at what the propaganda behind all of this program was. Because it was woven together to show all of these different elements to you. Let's see if you can pick it up. Okay? First of all, this begins with the Cartel Cruise opening credits of, what looks like some kind of Miami Beach Beach-esque background, and a bunch of silhouettes of these folks that are in the show.
Yep.
And in Tijuana, they started off talking about how Mexico is very dangerous. It's like a lion's den.
Oh yeah.
And then they immediately start talking about going to protest in San Diego, and they're scantily clad women, all of whom look like they've had lots of plastic surgery done.
Yep.
And whom are talking passionately about going to help these people in this by protesting, as if that's, going to be some magical thing. If you just go protest, this is going to save lives. And they're saying they have to do something because these people are fleeing for their lives. That's the reason why they're migrating. There isn't organized crime or cartels or smuggling or trafficking going on. No. These are just people fleeing for their lives.
Yep.
Very highly dramatic show. And then, of course, the next thing they tell you is they're separating the children.
Oh, yeah.
This is the most important, pulling at your heartstrings point that keeps getting repeated and repeated and repeated. Never do they mention, of course, the fact that there are tens of thousands of children that have been recycled, used, sold, trafficked, smuggled, sold, disappeared, abused. Never do they talk about the exploitation of the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of migrants that were given false hope of seeking asylum with lawyers that were free, none of which happened. Of being part of these elaborate schemes to get certain people in, those who participate in these media dramas, and these theatrical productions for the news and for the media, like Maria Mesa, like so many of the other stories that I have shown you. And they also really want to push for this Latin unity. And they keep bringing up the fact that, most of the people on the show are Latinos, and they're like, from these different cartel backgrounds, from families in different countries. But no matter, we're all Latinos, and Latinos are being treated like animals. And these people are treating these children inhumanely, and the Latinos in general is animals. So off they go to take their trip to Mexico to check out what's going on with them and do something. But before they go, this woman, whose name is Mary, I think, Marie asks a friend who is from Mexico or who's lived there or something about whether or not this is a suicide mission of some sort, because high drama, it's very scary in Mexico. You don't want to go down there to Mexico.
That's right.
And then she says this later on, that she's afraid of going into Mexico, and her husband immediately says, TJ is a very serious place. No joking around with the kinds of things that happen in this very serious place. And then they go back to talking about the San Diego protest, and they're in an airport. They're traveling through the airport in their cute outfits. They keep looking at themselves and talking about how cute they look in their outfits, and how by the way, everyone is flying to this location in San Diego for this protest from different places, and they're all going to meet up there. They timed it so that they could all be at the San Diego protest at the same time. And then they talk about how they're gonna stomp their feet, and Marie looks so cute in her outfit, and they're taking video and selfies of each other. And then it doesn't seem like they really are they're about being dramatic and looking cute, and it feels like somewhere between a cross between Breaking Bad and a Kardashians episode.
Yeah.
You know, because they're like wear these like really low cut dresses, and they look like hookers to me.
Like this, yeah.
They do.
Like a Barbie doll.
And of course, they are always really upping this drama about how dangerous it is in Mexico and how they could lose their lives if they go there. And she says, I know crossing the border is heavy on Michael's mind, especially after, you know, and they talk about all of their involvement. We're all in the cartels and we were doing criminal things.
Yeah.
And they frequently, and during the show, joke about that. They're like, hey, do you remember that thing? And they're like, shh, we can't talk about that. And they joke about it, but they also flaunt it. There is some kind of romancing of the lifestyle, much like there's been a romancing of criminals in organized crime in the Italian, mafia, and some other, even like the Colombian, mafia and the Mexican cartel. I mean, lots of these different anti-heroes become sort of like folk heroized in some ways, but let's be honest, they're criminals. They're criminals doing criminal things, and I guess some of them get rewarded with VH1 shows.
Yeah, I guess.
And what do they use this what seems like some innocuous brain death type of show? It's packed with information, and let me tell you something. When I saw this, I got hot under the collar, because this group of people, whether it's the Pueblos Sin Fronteras folks, who are involved in this human smuggling operation and being investigated by multiple agencies on both sides of the border, or it's Nicole Ramos and her crooked legal group, sketchy legal group Al Otro Lado, and the Border Support Network leadership with heavy Antifa ties, and the Carrizo Comet Crudo tribe, and the involvement of those border camps, all of these things, where I just recently did a show that had 3 convicted felons involved in the leadership, in the forming of foundations, of organizations that are supposed to defend vulnerable people and native rights and sovereignty and sacredness, that diddle children, that rape women forcibly, that traffic weapons. I mean, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting one of these criminals.
Exactly.
That are criming, these frauds that are defrauding people. And yet somehow they want to present themselves as human rights defenders. And any of us that call into question their behaviors, their past activities, the things that they've said and they've done, that they continue to do, they say, "Oh, you're censoring our speech rights. You're attacking human rights defenders. You must be a racist. You must have a fascist Trump agenda. You must be one of those people that are trying to build the wall or stop refugees from getting asylum." No. I'm trying to expose criminals and frauds. And let me tell you, these folks, they literally have repeatedly admitted to their criminal behavior. And in this Cartel Cruise show, they are flaunting it. How do the same pious people that I have shown you to be liars, extorters, frauds, and criminals on my show, how do they... We're just dropping water. We're just helping. Look, there's evidence of you giving drugs to the migrants. There's evidence of fake marriages. There's evidence of you kidnapping unaccompanied minors. There's evidence of cartel border weddings. There is evidence of the smuggling, the convicted felons that are smuggling people within your organizations, that are rapists, that are child molesters. Why do those people feel that they can hold their face up high in any setting and say that they are serious, that they are vetted, that they are, legitimate?
Yeah.
When you can go on a show that glorifies and glamorizes criminals from cartels.
Mm-hmm.
You know what those people are. The president of the United States wants to categorize them as terrorist organizations. But these human right defenders, in air quotes, want to go on this show and be glamorized for their work. That should tell you everything you need to know about all of the people featured in this episode on this show.
Mm-hmm.
Then Nicole is introduced. No, Diana is introduced. This is Diana. They're all, of course, dressed to the nines in ridiculous makeup and false eyelashes and the clothes and the whole 9 yards. And then Nicole comes next. And then they talk about how they're going to be in touch with the border angels because they're not just going to go be in a protest. They figured that while they were going to cross the border, while they were near the border, why not take a shipment of supplies to an organization working within this smuggling operation and take them supplies so that they can keep supplying members of the migrants caravans that are going to be trafficked or smuggled into our country at these border camps, away from the scrutiny of the police and the Mexican authorities, so they can cross them and whatever else they want to cross along with them anytime they want to without any interference, so that they can be the persons that command and control those migrants at the borders. And then they have this little squabble in the airport. Stephanie shows up and they're in a bad mood because they're, hangry, and they really don't have the stomach for doing any kind of social justice. But they figured they should just put their pettiness behind them and put their best foot forward and figure out how not to scratch each other's eyes out for a few hours while they go and, pretend to give a damn about separated kids and families at the border.
Yeah.
And, it's funny that she says that they have some petty drama in this screen capture from the show, because that is what the show is. It is nothing but petty drama. And she, ironically, is talking about how in this episode, we will rise above our drama.
That's right.
And as these drama queens that can't keep it together for more than 5 minutes. When the truth is that when you're watching this show and they always have some kind of a squabble, many of them end up getting physical. The only thing that's missing is a pool of Jell-O. I'm not joking. And that is exactly the aesthetic they were going for. They want the jiggle. They want the pop. They want the hair to fly, the tables to go flying. They want that kind of drama in their shows because that's what they're peddling.
Yep.
Cheap drama, fake drama. And remember, the people that appeared in this show were proud as punch to be there.
Oh, yeah.
In this video, if you've watched it, if you can get your hands on it and watch it, this Hugo Castro of Border Angels, from start to finish, has this short eating grin the whole time. Like he is just grinning from ear to ear. Like, I haven't seen this many plastic boobs in one spot at one time in a while.
Exactly.
He looks absolutely thrilled. Se le cae la baba. Es decir, con una sonrisa de pendejo que no puede. Oh my God. Tan falso, this guy. So disgusting. Remember, these are the people from the organization that recently had their leader, their supreme leader, Enrique Morones, step down for strange reasons.
Yep.
And obviously it had nothing to do with the fact that he arranged a cartel wedding at the border with Border Patrol present, tricking them into a PR nightmare. But remember also that they have vowed that they are, on their mother's lives, that they're not smuggling people, that they're not helping people commit any kind of crimes, that they are not involved in working with dangerous people, frauds, and criminals, that they give positions of power and leadership so that they are in a place that they have more victims access. And the truth is, they do a show like this, which shows me very clearly that they know that they are a joke. They're trying to appeal to a certain crowd, the kind of crowd that watches this kind of crap on VH1 in the first place and would ever consider advice from any one of these streetwalkers as some kind of social justice message. Only that audience would find these people to have redeemable qualities that should be emulated on any level. But it also tells you why some attention-starved hoe like Paloma for Trump would love to get on this show
for sure.
at any cost.
Yep.
And she just missed her curtain call. She missed it because she tripped. Remember she tripped?
Oh, yeah.
We'll get to that in a minute. We'll watch it together again. And I'll remind you. And I'm going to be like, this is why she was like, I'm bleeding. My leg is going to fall off. I don't care. I've got to be in front of a camera right over there next to those prostitutes holding those signs. But she didn't make it.
No.
And they are so raunchy. To make my point, they're not just frequently scantily clad or semi-nude. They're also talking about it and bragging about it so that it's, at the forefront of your mind that this is a TNA show and that's what they're selling. That's what they're peddling. That and the cool criminal aspect of their origins.
Yeah, exactly.
In this part of the show, they're driving along the ocean side and they're like, oh my God, I know we have to get to this protest march, but wouldn't it be awesome if we could skinny dip right now? Let's go skinny dipping. And the girl in the front passenger seat who is looking at her makeup in the mirror as she's talking to the girls in the back says, I'm all about that, don't you know? I'm not even wearing panties right now. That's how free I am.
Oh, God.
That is the kind of show that this is. And then they get to this giant mansion of a house that it belongs to a lady named Yvette. And then they introduce Yvette, and she looks like she has as much plastic on her as the rest of these ladies have on them. So we get to have Yvette introduced, who bounces out and starts hugging everyone. And she's hosting them, and they start getting ready for the protest, and they run inside, and then it cuts to Miami. Now they're all the way over on the other side of the country at the docks, and they're talking casually. Michael Blanco, who's Marie's husband, is talking casually with this guy. I don't know who he is, but he later has a very in-depth conversation about their pot business with him.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe he's a business partner. I don't know. But this guy, Michael Blanco, and him are just chatting away as they're looking at the port behind them and talking about how they used to, this is the main port of entry for cocaine and has been for a very, very long time. Mm-hmm. And the largest cocaine shipments in the U.S. came right there, right over there. Mm-hmm. And they're like, "Did you pick some of those shipments up from these docks?" And he's like, "Ha ha! You can't talk about that. It's funny, but." Mm-hmm. And then he jumps right into how stressed he is about the possibility that his wife may go into from San Diego into Mexico.
Yeah.
And him and his past activities and the cartels and. They got a lot of enemies. Yep. And he doesn't want them to don't cross the border. They tell him that he says he doesn't want them to cross the border. And so he talks about his enemies and he says they're in they're in physical danger if they were to cross the border. And they keep repeating this. Mm-hmm. And then Michael hesitates to let her go into Mexico because of their background, but also because the cartel is alive and well in Mexico. And in this next slide, the cartel is alive. He says that there's battles happening in I think it's the one before that. Michael hesitates. Yeah, he talks about how in Mexico there are basically cartel wars breaking out everywhere, where there's people getting murdered. I mean, everyone is listening to what's happening right now in the country with the murders of the LeBaron family, mm-hmm. with the massacres that just recently happened at the border. All of this cartel violence, the president of the United States wanting to categorize cartels as terrorist groups. And here you have former family members or, current family members of cartel saying, like, it's too dangerous for us to go to Mexico.
Yeah, really.
Because we're connected to these cartels. And they're killing each other left and right. So, and they start talking about how Mike just went and met with the godfather of marijuana, and he's set to release his strain of marijuana, Pure Blanco 420. And then they talk about how they're going to have a massive launch party at the Rainbow Room, and they're going to have the top influencers in the marijuana and the media and the buzz world at this event to help them promote their weed.
Yeah.
And then they talk about how their original first train.
One moment, please.
Yes, one moment.
One moment, please.
Original first strain.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Of marijuana is being developed by them right now. And then they go back to the talking about the protest. The girls just want to go to the protest. They want to get there.
And there's the protest.
They leave their car. It looks like they just all jump out of the car and leave it in the street. Who knows who parks the car? They jump out with their signs, and immediately, they flash to this altercation with Jean Faraon and Paloma, and you see that the camera was trying to capture the Paloma Jean altercation that was going on there. But as you guys saw, the police got involved. Here's a little clip of the VH1 moment where Jean Paloma appear. Here's that clip.
One moment, it's not there. It's not showing up. Just give me a second. I'll go to a different scene.
Oh, okay.
Pull it up.
Well, in this scene, as you guys may recall from seeing when this all took place in this June or July, I want to say, this summer, You remember the big protest that occurred in San Diego that a number of different people said they went to. I believe that the two ladies in San Diego, Amy and Melinda, went to that. I believe that, Paloma, of course, bragged about going, said she felt down. People from Standing Rock lore, the Brown Berets and a lot of those folks from the Border Support Network were also at this event.
Yep, I have the clip for you.
Probably because there was going to be so many filming crews for all of these different propaganda films and pieces.
Lots of cameras.
Here's the clip. You see how close they are? The film crew in this clip that appeared on VH1. Look how close the film crew is. It's like they were stationed there to catch something that was going to happen. And then Paloma fell down.
Yeah. Those are the brown berets there, right?
Because she's clumsy and she likes to wear stripper heels.
Yeah, she's there in the foreground.
That's the real reason, guys. So in this next screenshot, you see that they were on the show in Cartel Cruise. Paloma and Jean. Facebook captured it, and some of you sent this to me. They said, look at what I found. There's Paloma, her husband, appearance in the show Cartel Cruise. Kind of suspicious. Paloma and Cartel shows. It is suspicious, Duke.
Oh, yeah.
Paloma.
And the Cartel shows.
Smugglers and people from the cartels, all in the same show.
Yeah.
Remember that she became famous for pushing a migrant the same summer.
Exactly.
Remember all of the things that happened during that period of time. The expedited entry of Maria Mesa that happened because of Paloma, that put her in the media along with many of the other antics that were taking place. Well, what is this show about, folks? Let's look at the IMDb for the show so you can understand what they are glorifying here, because this is truly disgusting in my point of view.
Breaking from their families, drug trafficking past have been long, winding and at times unsuccessful journeys for the stars of this reality series. They are descendants of the cartel life. As they navigate adulthood, the effects of their legacies on their upbringings are still felt. Now disconnected from their past, each wants to be a role model outside the drug world. Really? But escaping the shadows of their ancestors comes with a price. The cast includes Michael
Corleone
Blanco, the youngest son of notorious cocaine godmother Griselda Blanco. Cat Tattoo Baby Flores, who was just 4 when her drug kingpin dad was murdered. And Diana Castaneos, now grateful for a second chance after she was sentenced to a federal prison term for running a marijuana grow house. The first episode was January 7th, 2019. It's on VH1.
This episode came out a week ago?
Yeah, just the day before Thanksgiving.
The day before Thanksgiving, folks. This nonsense came out. And remember that she recently, right before she went to the White House with Latinos for Trump, right before that happened, or Lexit people, she became viral on Twitter for the video of her pushing a migrant that happened around the same time this show was filmed. Around the time this San Diego protest took place. Around the same time that all of these bad actors working with the smuggling operations at the border were putting their nonsense propaganda out into the media with their media allies. And apparently they have friends over at VH1 at the Cartel Cruise show. Apparently that's how it goes. Thank you so much for your support, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
I always appreciate the support from our followers, especially when it comes at the expense of pendeja for fraud, because it makes her so mad. It makes her so angry. Mm-hmm. But it's a much more honest living than the things that she devotes her time to, which includes defrauding people for money and pulling on heartstrings every day. She's still doing it. Paloma fighting the Brown Berets was the most hilarious, comical clown show I had ever seen. The first time people showed that to me, I laughed hysterically. I saw a lot of theater out at Standing Rock. We saw a lot of frauds and phonies doing theater out at Standing Rock. But this was comical. She couldn't even finish her lines. She fell down, and then she tried to get back in frame, and the cop stopped her.
Yeah.
That's why she was flipping out.
That's why she's flipping out.
She was like,
I'm walking here.
I can still go. Can I still go? I'm fine. But can I go? But can I go?
The cameras are over there.
Yeah, the cameras are right over there. I can see them from here. Roll that old footage of the time she slipped. She fell down, and then she said people, threw her. She was probably so upset at herself for missing her mark.
Oh, right. They're walking to the bridge. Yeah. They're walking to the Camino de la Plaza bridge. Where's the car? Okay, so I'm gonna walk around. I'm gonna march too, because I think I'm entitled to do that. And I hope I don't get attacked or anything.
Yeah, I hope that our staged attack.
Hey, I have my sign. I'm gonna march with it.
I'm gonna go get into the VH1 shot.
Dame mi letrero.
Don't you find it interesting
There's
that
the instigator.
Paloma shares a very similar
laugh? Is that
okay? Don't get close to me, please. Don't get close to me, because I'm gonna pull out my sign, and I can do that. So
there's her husband, Jean Faron.
Can you call security?
Her Pam.
Hey, she's
sidekick.
stealing my sign. She's stealing my sign.
Okay.
She's stealing my sign.
This is where the filming is happening.
She's stealing my sign. She's stealing my sign.
There is a person from VH1 close enough, and then she falls down.
Yeah.
Hey, calm down. Calmado. Tranquilo todo. She's stealing my sign.
She wants to go back to filming. Now the cops are getting involved. And the cops are going to block this.
No, it's fine. I'm fine. I fell.
I'm fine.
No, we can still walk.
Let us go.
Sir, we can still walk.
Let me get in the frame.
Okay. Sir, we can still walk.
Please, baby, please.
They pushed me.
I know.
But I can still walk. Well, can I walk? Because we're missing out.
On what? What are you missing out on?
Jump on there, don't worry.
Yeah, but they shouldn't. Look.
Get on the ground, bro.
I want to, on that guy?
Get on the ground.
This is on him.
Yeah, I comply with you. Okay.
What are you missing out on? You know,
Exactly.
It didn't make sense before, right? Because she was like, listen, this parade, this theatrical show, this march, this protest went on into the night. It is day. I will prove it, because she was still there at night later on. And so were these people. And you can tell clearly in the continuation of the show, this goes on for a while. She could have been in many other parts, but she was missing her cue.
Yeah.
She was missing her moment on the screen. We're missing that. The camera people that were filming just out of reach. Porque se cayó la pendeja. Because she insists on wearing her stripper shoes. And she's like, if those women in the Cartel Cruise show get to look like hookers, I'm going to look like a hooker too.
Yeah.
So this is all true. She actually explained how, everybody knows she loves to wear her really high heels. And that's why, she tripped. She was wearing her high heels.
Yeah, we're missing it.
The protest was not over. The protest, the march, the speeches, the rally, the whole thing went on for hours after that.
Exactly.
So what she was missing was her mark.
On the VH1 Cartel crew show. Yep, exactly.
Did you catch what she said?
Yeah.
Right there?
And she's very panicky, like, oh, I can walk, I can go. Come on. Let us go there.
It's right there. Let me go. But you said they assaulted you. You just said they assaulted you. She goes like, yes, but we can still walk.
I'll catch up to you later.
She's like, just let me go finish filming and I'll be back. So la pendeja se cayó and she missed her mark. None of her appearances have turned out well. None of her TV appearances have turned out very well for her.
No.
And, I wanted to remind folks what this protest was because fellow rapid response crews, fellow Border Support Network people that she was simultaneously always in the circles of and always at counter protests at were at this event. Mohammed El Nakib of the Rapid Response Network in San Diego and assistant and a friend to Mark Lane of the Minority Humanitarian Foundation. They were there. Bertie Gutierrez of Bridges of Love Across Borders that also smuggles support and supplies across the border to all of these shelters that are really, basically you being used as safe houses for these smuggling operations from this giant smuggling network that includes Pueblos Sin Fronteras and the Border Angels. Thank you, Sophia.
Thank you, Sophia.
Keep it up. We will. We're going to keep exposing all of this. And this show is an education, which is why I had to bring it to you. If you don't watch this kind of trash on VH1, first of all, I understand you. Second of all, I'm doing it so you don't have to. But if you were to watch this whole thing, which I think you should know about, you would get an education into who these people really are.
Yep.
And let me share with you the clip from the event as people in the balcony that are addressing this large crowd of people that were in the protest march are looking over into the giant crowd of hundreds of people where Paloma was at, still even later into the night. And here is that clip. You will hear and see Mohammed El Nakib right in the beginning. He's part of the Muslim contingent of the support network, Border Support Network.
No adoptions!
No adoption!
And we will not rest!
Can you see the women from the cartel crew down there? That's Bertie
We will
yelling.
not
Yeah.
rest until all of the people who are employed by ICE,
They all are,
who daily commit brutality,
getting their
and
faces in the media.
of human rights, are accountable.
That's Bertie Gutierrez. He's filming her from behind.
You are guilty.
This is the same event that was being filmed on Cartel Cruise.
Yep.
The women, you see those signs next to Bertie Gutierrez with the little kids on them?
Yep.
Did you see them with the outlines of the little children? To the left there?
Yep.
Or to the top of the screen, the top corner of the screen, you see that?
Yep.
That's in the show. That's in one of the slides that I think I have on this program from Cartel Cruise. That's what was being filmed.
Ask you, where is your conscience? I will say it again. Where is your conscience?
This is a new show. They didn't show this
Are you silent?
anytime this summer.
No.
And not even early fall.
No.
We are almost going into Christmas, folks.
Rape
They pulled this out right at Thanksgiving time.
Time of trauma.
You think that's a coincidence?
Families.
That as they're requesting donations for all of their their Thanksgiving drives or Christmas drives for the migrant families and the migrant children,
Just
as they're ramping
like
up.
your forefathers before you did.
that they released this Cartel Cruise episode with all of this
No peace!
right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It was planned. I'm telling you, it's planned. Every bit of this is planned and thought out. I really want to see if I can spot these painted ladies down there.
Yeah.
Because they're right down below.
Yeah.
Anastasia Hernandez Rojas in 2010.
You know that they're right down there. And I know if he gets close enough to the edge and at the right angle, I'm just going to see all their fake... They're fake tatas from on high.
They have not been held accountable.
Muchas gracias, Raúl, por tu apoyo. These people are very good at propaganda. See those signs right there? Well, we're going to see them. Remember that from the show? Mm-hmm. They had people filming that sign really up close. They had people positioned so that they could film the Holocaust survivor very close up. They had people probably that were filming for VH1 up on that balcony with these activists. Mm-hmm. And they also had them down below with the cartel crews. They had people that were poised to do different things for the show. They were supposed to probably run over and oppose the cartel crews people.
Yeah.
When in fact, all of these folks are congregating together at the same locations, like they're two wrestlers in a staged match. Mm-hmm. You know, because that's what they are. They're performers. Nothing more, nothing less. Some of them more high quality than others. Oh man, who are we kidding? They're all low quality.
Yeah,
they're all D-list, and you know they were making it sound. These cartel cruise women. We're making it sound as if the experience of going was there was nothing like it in the world. Just like being there was making them
change their lives, you know.
Yeah.
Enlighten them.
Somehow the air was supercharged. And you know, like they're constantly talking in these clothes that just are.
Yeah.
What do you call that, Duke? I don't know what to say. What do you think make of this? You know, they're like, oh. She's like showing the most cleavage I've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly.
And then she's like saying, oh, this is such a supercharged experience.
Yeah.
I was like,
I'd never seen this show before. You know, it's on VH1, which I don't have VH1, you know, so it's like when it was brought to our attention and, you know, someone had it on YouTube so that we could actually watch it. And I was like, what is this? You know, so, and as I, you know, listen to the characters. I hadn't read the IMDb thing yet, you know, and it's like these are cartel families, you know, people from cartel families, and they're reformed now, and they're going out and they're going to California. And there's a giant protest, and they're so impacted by this protest. It's like their lives are changed, and then they do the shots like we just saw. It's like, and I'm like, what? My life has changed, you know, and it's like, and there's a shot after that. I thought, what is this show? You know, it's like, it's not a serious social commentary, though they are trying to pretend that they were influenced by some sort of a cultural and social issue that was changing their view of the world. And this protest was, you know, it was, you know, pro-migrant and, you know, anti-government, you know, and holding the government accountable. And, you know, it was you know, a really big gathering of people to have that message. You know, for them to be there, it just didn't make any sense to me.
The reality, though, is all of these people are doing reality shows, and someone up on high in politics, in the media allyship of these Hollywood influencers that are in these networks of organizations that are smuggling folks, and that are doing all these different policies on energy and politics around immigration. They're the ones that are like, hey, could you strategically place a Coca-Cola and these, you know, prostitute-looking women all in a video about social justice?
Yeah.
And could you make sure they're not wearing bras? Mm-hmm. Also,
or underwear.
Stripper heels. Could you put stripper heels? Could you make them fight? Mm-hmm. We won't put any Jello in because that wouldn't be classy. But could you? And because I guess in America we consume trash, and call it social justice, this counts as having a message. And it really is just a photo op. I mean, you see in the lineup when they're protesting, it looks like they're going down a catwalk.
Yeah, a runway.
They're not like actually doing something for social. Who goes to a protest dressed like that, Duke?
Yeah.
Like they look like they're like the new lineup of super villains or superheroes for some kind of a show about a bunch of ex-cartel prostitutas. But they make it sound like there's this other more kind-hearted, changing your past, and also the solidarity for Latinos.
Yeah.
So they talk about that a lot. They're like, as a Latina, I am going to fight for the children. As a Latina, I feel like it's more solidarity as a performer, as a D-list actress on a reality show that features a lot of other cons and D-list actors and former or ongoing criminals. You stand in solidarity with that and with them, not with Latinos. Don't smear the name of Latinos.
Yeah.
By saying you stand in solidarity with that, because the people that you're supporting and promoting on this particular show, in this particular Border Angels episode, are all people that have associated themselves with organized crime and smuggling of humans, and worse. So that is not something I would be bragging about, nor would I be proud of my appearance on this particular episode for any of these people. And the fact that they allowed it to happen, and the fact that they thought it was going to be effective with the audiences that follow them, tells me about the questionable morals of the people that support them in the first place. And it also tells me that they really don't believe in their holier than thou image.
Yeah.
How do you justify going on a show called Cartel Group, Cartel Cruise?
Exactly.
The view from the top of the, where Bertie Gutierrez is in the show looks like this. And you can see the women from the balcony. So people from BH1's crew was up on that balcony with Bertie Gutierrez and Mohammed El Nakib, just as I said earlier. And again, they're talking about the caged children, because that's very, very sad. And he's the person talking right now from that vantage point is the guy that's from a Holocaust survivor, a Jewish Holocaust survivor. Okay. And of course, there was a whole campaign to compare the camps to the Holocaust camps and the children that are being many times smuggled and recycled and exploited themselves as victims or survivors of the Holocaust as well. Very conflated point of view, but nonetheless one that was being sold in this episode. And they also had every single one of these cartel floozies cry a little tear, or at least pretend to cry a little tear for the people talking up on the podium, and the letters of mothers being read from the detention facilities. And they all just kept touching their fingers up to their eyes, and they cried for the cruel Nazis that we have become in this country. How the techniques of putting people in detention facilities and checking their IDs. And it's all very sad. I don't actually see a real tear, but I do see them
pretend to wipe them off because the makeup would come off too.
Yes, they're dabbing their eyeballs with their fingers again and again. And again, they talk about how they're just fleeing the violence. You see that card she's holding up at the top, the person, the little girl outlined? The same one that we just saw in the Mohammed El Nakib video from the balcony from the same view. Exactly. I just want to prove to you they were all there together. And they're all ended up being featured on the same show that just aired at Thanksgiving. Just aired at Thanksgiving, folks. They're fleeing the poverty and the violence. And I've shown you again and again, that is not a claim for asylum. And that is not grounds for you to be granted entry into the United States based on a credible fear for your life. Not a reason. Also, could you buy a flip song? Because they're promoting every single thing, including the songs that they play while these women are pretend crying, like Bring Me Home, which is the actual song that was playing during that part.
That's right, yeah.
They've got catchy tunes. You can get them on G Flip. Buy one here. Buy this product. Go to this restaurant. Buy the shoes. Where can I get those earrings? Where can I get that belt? Where can I get the stripper heels? Right?
Right.
Because this is about merchandising. This is about selling. This is about exploiting the plight of these people in the migrant caravans that are literally being commoditized by these smugglers and the people in those operations at every level. At every single level. They are squeezing that turnip.
Yeah.
And the cast has cartel affiliations, and the flaunting of their mafia dangeroso type bad hombre status is repeated and repeated and repeated as a credibility factor for these members on the show, for you to believe what they tell you about the plight of the migrants and who the good guys are and who the bad guys are, because they know. Oh, they know all the bad guys. So they would tell you who the bad guys were. And they're going to show you who the angels are. The border angels.
Oh, yeah.
Who all the good people are. And, of course, then they also show you the lavish luxury of the pool.
The accommodations
of their trip. Of their mansion.
Yeah.
Because they're super rich. And that's what organized crime family members get to experience.
Exactly.
The trimmings of the ill-gotten gains of their ancestors. And then they go back to talking about the protest and, oh my God, that experience changed them for life.
And goosebumps.
They felt their skin get goosebumps. It was so moving, and they still, they still like can't believe that they did that and they made a difference. Why? How? By shooting a show about it?
Yeah.
No. All they're doing here is propaganda. And one of the things that they want is to promote border angels. So they talk about how they're going to take a truckload of supplies for a shelter. See, they can get away with doing that. Bertie Gutierrez of Bridges of Love Across Borders and many of the volunteers of the Border Support Network said they had problems crossing supplies into Mexico because they didn't have permits to operate these shelters. They didn't have a whole bunch of different things. And the cops and Border Patrol were aware that American organizations comprised of Antifa leadership were organizing the migrants at the border to go and violently clash with Border Patrol at the border, shut down the roads in the city, shut down commerce costing thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars to Mexico, to the United States by these activists, like they did at Standing Rock, like they've done at other places where they hold merchants hostage. And they were scrutinizing who was crossing things and who was bringing them to the shelters. So these yahoos get to go and smuggle something that is perfectly legal, diapers and food and all of these things, but for the fact that they're probably not as highly scrutinized, that they're a bunch of, TV celebrities, reality celebrities taking donations into Tijuana.
Yeah.
They can get away with doing that, and that's why they employ celebrities, minor celebrities, people that have large followings, and pendejas for fraud in doing things like that. They can launder resources, they can hide resources, and you don't know who exactly they're coming from. But they're involved. They make sure to funnel them to the people that they control, that they manage, that they work with, that they are exploiting. And they are border angels is one of those people that they went to meet with. They call them butter angels in the captions here accidentally.
The butter angels.
Sometimes it doesn't translate the captions the way that the people talk. So a lot of the closed captions aren't that great, but you get the gist. And that's the important thing. And I can show you that this is what they were peddling. This propaganda was what was being peddled.
Yep.
And they go to meet with border angels. And then again, they're very, very cartel affiliated. The stunt person, as they're crossing, this is when they complete their charade of Marie and her husband, Marco, or whatever his name is, being so terrified. And they're like, it's too dangerous for me. I can't do it. I'm going to stay on this side.
I'll stay on this
because,
side.
It's
safer over here.
The cartels are too dangerous. There's so many homicides. Their own stunt person, coordinator person, whatever that works with them, comes on this the camera to say, hey, this is going to be what you're about to do is kind of like a stunt. It's very, very, very dangerous.
Oh, that's right.
And she's like, how dangerous is it? And he goes, well, Tijuana is the most dangerous city in the world. It has more homicides than Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York combined. And she's like,
I'm not going.
I'm going to go and hang out with
at the mansion.
Tatua, or whatever the baby tattoo that was there mentioned, was all tatted up on her neck.
Yeah.
She looks like a chola. And she stayed behind too because she figured that, she's got too many people that would come after her and kill her. All these people are affiliated to cartels, but some of them are too scared to cross into Mexico.
Yeah.
Which is a setup for their programming and for what they're going to show you in a minute.
Yeah.
But we're supposed to believe that it's just, incidentally she couldn't go. So she decided to go meet with some people from this really cool church at the border instead. And meanwhile, the other ladies, they're heading through Tijuana in a van, and they start talking about how, wow, this place is horrible. That, we feel so bad for the people that have to be in Mexico, because they're also driving the narrative and the propaganda that the migrants cannot stay in Mexico. They need to be given asylum. They need to come into the United States because it's too dangerous there. Damn it.
Yep.
First of all, the smugglers and the crooked lawyers and the media allies and all of the people that were working in politics and in organizing behind these nonprofit organizations and NGOs that gave these people a false narrative and a false hope. They drove them into Mexico to be in all of that danger. And now you want to say Mexico's too dangerous for them to be there? It was the first point of destination where they were going to be headed, Mexico. And the same people that supported them going there and promoted them going there and even helped to finance them going there and accompanied them, as they like to call it, are the same people that are complaining it's too dang dangerous.
Yep.
And then they say, oh, well, being on that side of the border or being on this side of the border doesn't really mean anything. Yeah, it does. It means it's the difference between whether or not you're a Mexican citizen or an American citizen. It means a whole hell of a lot. It means a lot. They're minimizing the border wall. Yeah. At different points during the show, they talk about how, I hate this border wall. Let's just kick it down. Ew, yucky. I hate it so much. And then they're like, everything looks the same over on that side of the wall. Look, there's the wall. Like they'd never seen it before.
Yeah.
It was like
you can see it right there.
And you know what? You know what's so messed up? You can see it. And it looks the same on both sides. Like, it's really just a wall. It's just like an illusion. There's a division, but it's not really. It's like, it's the different sides of two countries. That's where it that's where it changes to a different country. And then she says, where you're born does not define you. It literally does define who you are. It literally defines your nationality, where you are born. And then, of course, they start talking about smuggling people people crossing illegally. And she says, you know, the wall doesn't stop people. The wall cannot stop people. You know, yeah, it makes it more difficult for people to cross over. But if you're determined, if you want a better life, you're going to do whatever it takes, and nothing is going to stop those people.
Yeah.
The way that they talk about it, the way that they say it is like, you know what? It's illegal and everything, and it's wrong, but they're determined and no one's going to stop them. Let's take them some donations.
Yeah, exactly.
So they go, and they get to Playas for their first scripted dance theatrics in Mexico at Playas, and they immediately see the beach and all the people. And you walked on that boardwalk there. There's shops and restaurants, and there's very colorful art and statues, and it's pretty. And they're like gobsmacked and awestruck, and they're like, oh wow, this is dope. And they're like,
exactly.
They look like they just arrived at a party.
Yeah.
At like a beach party. And they're like stoked for it. And the first thing they do is go over and order food. And they're like, ooh, look at all the food. It's so great. It's a beautiful day here with all the kids. Oh my gosh. This place is beautiful. Look at the water. This place is gorgeous. I love this place. And a minute ago, they were talking about how this is the worst place.
Yeah, the most dangerous place in the world.
This is the worst place. In fact, there's no place. The worst place in this country is the worst place in the U.S. is probably better than any place in Mexico. Yeah. That's what they said. And thank you, Melissa. And I really appreciate all of those who are liking this video, who share this video, and who super chat support us. We are trying to expose the propaganda and those bad actors that we keep seeing rearing their ugly heads in these propaganda pieces and all these different shows. Because that's what it is. They're selling you something. And what that is a two-faced lie. Then they walk over after they're like, oh, it's beautiful. This is lit. She literally says, this is lit. It's so beautiful. Look at the children. Look at the food. They're like, this is paradise. This is a poop hole. And then a minute later, they're walking over by the border wall. And they're like, oh my God, this border wall. It's so horrible. Why is it here? You know what's really, a torture chamber of this wall? One of them says, they made it so you can see through it. So that to torture you, because you can look through it and you can see right there is your goal. Your goal is right there. You can see the United States is right on the other side, but you can't get over there because you can't fit through those holes. Yeah. Isn't that mean? That's the most messed up thing. And I'm like, what a stupid thing to say. Yeah. In many places, the wall is see-through because it has to be.
Yeah, elements have to go through it,
Like the wind. And, oh my God. These women are not just dumb as a post. They are completely unwittingly, or I would suppose wittingly, promoting the people in Border Angels and their smuggling operation. And they go right to the undocumented cafe and talk about how they're, very curious about why this place is called the Undocumented Cafe. And they go in, and the barista behind the counter is the wife of Hugo Castro, or his baby mama, Gaba Cortez. And next to her is another person who I can only assume is one of the friends of these people that works in this cafe. And wearing a Bad Hombre shirt from the Border Angels, Hugo Castro. Yeah. With his poop-eating grin, which he holds on to the entire freaking show.
The taping, yeah.
And they're like, this is a place for people to come and work, for the migrants to come and work. We actually, Border Angels, not only has this undocumented cafe where we sell merch and coffee and give migrants who want to be really close to the border wall so they can hop over illegally whenever it's their turn.
Yeah, exactly.
We also run or work with all these different refugee shelters in Tijuana. I think he says this, he runs all these refugee shelters in Tijuana in another show, but the Border Angels woman, the Cartel Cruise woman who, you can put that slide up for me, who is talking to Ugo, says that they work with the refugee shelters, numbers of refugee shelters. In a video where he was almost arrested, I believe he himself said there was 18 different shelters that they work with.
Oh, yeah, sorry. That's right.
That is what they do. Mrs. Red Badger, thank you for your support.
Oh, yeah.
We can do this work without all of your support. And she said, best chat comment tonight, Mrs. T. Cartel Angels, I can't sniff my Coke with broken nails. There's no plastic straws anymore. Oh my God. I know. I am missing some of the probably some of the best comments in the chats. And I love your comments. I love the interaction. I really want to share this information in this super chat with you guys because it is so important for you to see the hard evidence, the irrefutable evidence of what these people are doing right out in the open on a cartel cruise show.
Yeah.
They're talking about their operation. They're talking about all the shelters that they supply and work with. He's so proud. He wants to brag about it.
Definitely.
On this show with these cartel cruise people. Yes, we run and manage all of these different shelters. And guess what? I'm a volunteer. He's a volunteer. Oh, he talks to them about why he does the work. And he says, we don't need documentation from people to treat them like humans. We don't need to have I don't need any kind of ID to treat those migrants with dignity. That's the only reason. Not because, as many of these people operating with Pueblos Sin Fronteras have been accused of doing it for cash, for money. Not for that reason. Oh, no. It's just for dignity, for human rights. In fact, he doesn't care where anyone is from. He says it doesn't matter if they're from Central America or Africa. He will accept them, whether they're from Central America or from Africa. Is very, prophetic of him to have said at the time that this was filmed, since it was the beginning of the African mass migration and crisis that we're now seeing in Tapachula, Chiapas, and which is being promoted heavily in the media right at this moment. And I told you about it long ago.
Yeah.
When it was going to come in, how it was going to be used, how it was going to be spun, and by whom. And of course, they keep telling us these people in the caravans, the people that are trying to seek asylum, that are in all of these shelters that we run and operate, they're victims of forced migration. They came here against their will. They're basically, victims of circumstances, hijacked, if you will, by the violence and the crime and the lack of opportunity in their country. So they didn't have any other option but to come. The least you can do is welcome them and give them a barista job. That's the least that you can do, because there's lots of migrants, he says. And he points to the beach near the wall. And he said, who wants to be near their goal? Who wants to physically be there? That's what we were told about the Tijuana migrants that were sleeping in the streets, in raw sewage, that refused to go to the shelters. And the same thing we're being told now about the ones that are sitting in Matamoros doing the exact same thing in their tent cities, refusing to go get jobs, to get visas, refusing shelters, refusing help. Who do they want help from? The volunteers from the Border Support Network. The people like the Border Angels that keep them close to their handlers, the smugglers. And he says to the women, here at night you see them, the people that are waiting for their goal, which ultimately is, not very hidden in the message here. People that are crossing the border illegally. And he says, you won't believe it, what you would see if you were out here at night. That there are people out here that come out here to try to get to the other side through the ocean, and they die. And he says, very dramatically,
yes,
people also die. They come here to die. And he says, you wouldn't believe it looking out the window where you were just saying, this place is lit. Look at all the kids. Let's get some food. This looks like paradise. Then, ominous music.
People die here.
Yes. That's exactly what they did all throughout the show. They're like, we're going to Mexico. I am not wearing panties. This is the most dangerous city in the whole world. This is a short hole. This is a short hole country. We can't let these migrants be here. And it's just going back and forth with his big swings and dramatics between, oh my God, super dangerous. We can't go over there. And, let's have a good time. Then he talks about how a migrant swam around the wall inside the ocean, and then he tried to get into the U.S. and drowned and died.
Yeah.
If you will recall, there was a migrant that died early on when they first arrived in Tijuana, and they slept on the beach, and some of them got drunk, and one of them reportedly wandered into the ocean drunk, as many of them did. One of them, however, drowned. That story then morphed into a number of migrants desperate to get into the U.S., went into the ocean. Only one of them drowned. We don't know about what happened to the other ones. Many of them could have drowned. 2, one guy tried to go into the ocean to go into the United States. He didn't make it. He drowned. But it was all about him crossing into the U.S. Facts about his drunken stupor or that of the other people around him were omitted from the story.
Yep.
I showed you early on in my shows, these people were making up stories about how people died, including the 2 migrants that they said were forced to live in the tent city in the streets and then were basically killed by hookers and people in that bad part of town. Well, it was the migrants and the people working with the smuggling operation that organized these folks and forced them to stay in these tent cities under their control, in these shelters that are not sanctioned by the Mexican government, so that they can control the flow of the migrants and when it happens. And then they blame or they invent things that happen to them. You remember when Paloma invented that Maria Mesa and her kids were kidnapped?
Yeah, and ran for 5 miles,
And they ran for 5 miles?
5 hours.
5 hours?
That's what it was. 5
and they
hours.
escaped. And she's fine now. Send donations. That anybody would even believe that these people are not all part of this criminal operation is astounding to me. Because they all operate the same way and they have the same nutball stories. You have to know the history of their lives to catch it. But if you're paying attention, it is undeniable what they're doing and how they're doing it. And then by the way, just for tracking purposes, he said that happened 2 months ago. This was filmed in the summer in June or July of 2019. He said 2 months prior to when he did the show, presumably when that protest took place, not necessarily when it aired, which was in Thanksgiving, had witnessed these deaths, right? Or this death of a migrant dying in the ocean. I should have known that BS story came from this whopper of a liar.
Yeah.
Of course it originated with the Border Angels. They're right there. They get to see it. So when did the first story of those migrants that stayed in Playas when they first arrived, when Paloma and her husband ran out into the streets and they had violent clashes with the counter-protesters. Remember that? Mm-hmm. With all those staged things were going on.
Yeah.
That's when that story of the migrant getting drunk and drowned and all of that story filtering out happened. So, that was October.
Yeah.
That wasn't 2 months before July. But maybe he's making up another migrant death that I don't know about.
Yeah.
Of course, he talks about the suffering in the USA after he talks about the migrant died. And then they move over to the ladies in the border church on the other side in San Diego. The two ladies that stayed behind, they're going to go meet with the Iglesia Fronteriza, or the border church, and John Fenistil, who is the pastor.
Okay.
Now, I checked this guy out. I checked out his Facebook page, and I found him to be friends with a lot of the people and media allies that are connected to the frauds in the Border Support Network. At higher levels, in the media and with people working within human rights organizations. As well, of course, as Adam Elfers of the Border Support Network. With their bogus band, which includes Kim Kurimoto of Standing Rock fame, as well as Douglas Oviedo, who recently got his asylum granted. Probably because he worked with all of these phonies. And then, of course, you have, and these are all from the Border Church's own page.
Yeah.
There's Hugo Castro in the front and center under that canopy wearing his Bad Hombres Border Angels shirt at one of their many events. This one was from back in April. So you see they work very closely, this border church. They don't tell you that in the Cartel Cruise show.
No.
But, you know, and you would never think that it was implied that all of these same organizations with the Border Support Network that I have been showing you are a bunch of mercenary con artivists, many of them that came directly from Standing Rock. They wouldn't tell you that that is all connected in their little Cartel Cruise show, because of course you would know that there was something fishy about that. They also have the Vets for Peace milling around. And of course, Enrique Morones. Enrique Morones, again, made his exit recently. He's lurking in the background there, taking pictures, probably for this page, probably to upload on these pages that they run. Enrique Morones is the godfather, I believe, of the son of Hugo Castro and Gaba Cortez, who, incidentally, the church wedding or the baptism was presided over by Father Solalinde.
Oh.
Here he is passing out bread.
Yeah.
They hold their little masses or their little church ceremonies on the beach. This gives them a perfect place from which to monitor smuggling, trafficking, all sorts of things right there at the border. And it gives them a perfect location from which to come in and defend, to stand in the way of authorities, to pray, to block people's view. I showed you these two pictures for Morones because I wanted to show you his involvement just didn't amount to one stray picture of him in the background.
Yeah.
He's more involved. And so are people from Al Otro Lado and Pueblos Sin Fronteras. In this picture, you see both Alex Mensing and Nicole Ramos featured in their little tent city in Tijuana. There is Alex Mensing standing in front, very tall guy, tallest guy in the picture, in the center with his hat that has red, white, and green trim with the green bill. Directly in front of him With her back to the camera in this picture is Nicole Ramos.
Okay.
That's her hair. Those are her legs. In this next picture, and there are other pictures of her facing front, which with a much smaller picture of her facing forward, standing in that same tent city. So there's more than one picture of her associated with this church. Remember, I told you all of these people work in tandem in their smuggling operation. So no surprise to see all of these folks affiliated with this church that's not a real church. And this is according to what the pastor told these trollops in the Cartel cruise lineup. She says, as you can read in the captions of this screen capture from the show, these they're not actually churches. They're just small pieces of land inside of a fence. And the reason that they have these ceremonies and this fake church is because they're designated worship areas.
Yeah.
And these designated worship areas, not real churches, Suffering U.S. is the next one. That one right there. She says, there's people suffering in the United States because of this border policy and the border wall, as well as in Mexico. And then they go to the border wall with a woman whose husband is in Mexico because he's been deported and he's been banned from coming into the country for 10 years. Wonder why? I don't know. But they're going there to this designated worship area. And she explains that these places have been just randomly designated as places of worship by who? By the Border Angels, by the Border Church, by the people in Pueblos Sin Fronteras and Al Otro Lado. And guess what? Once they've designated those areas, they can't go in those areas. Officials can't arrest anybody you would just went right by it. Officials can't arrest people that are in these designated areas. Isn't that brilliant? Officials can't step inside and arrest or harass people. So lots of families use this as a means of being able to hide what's going on. And they're explaining the whole freaking thing on this show. I could not believe it. I was like, do tell more.
Yeah.
What did the pastor tell you? Oh, they're not real churches. They're just designated as those places of safety where the cops can't come in and arrest. And who's all involved in it? The Border Angels. Okay. And on the Border Church. All right. Tell me more. Oh, Pueblos Sin Fronteras. The Veterans for Peace. Who else is in this? We have their border. This is Hugo's face the entire time, by the way. He lurks and follows these women around, staring at their traseros and at their chichis with this dopey look the whole flipping time. And then he tells them, we call this work here artivism. That's the term that his wife and their propaganda machine came up with. In the background, you'll notice the wings, which are iconic of their border shelter.
Yeah.
And you will see it again at the Caritas shelter. We identified the Caritas shelter many times by those wings on the walls inside. The names of the deported veterans are part of the wall mural artivism that he refers to. So again, deported veterans are part of this group working with the operation, and they attack CBP. They show the CBP car on the other side of the wall, and one of these mujeres, these tramp ladies, say, "Are those the people that attack anyone coming across?" Into the United States? No, those are the people that have greeted literally hundreds of thousands of asylum seekers into their vehicles and taken them immediately to get assistance. Those are the people that all of these asylum seekers, quote unquote, have been literally walking up to, sometimes in groups of hundreds, and saying, "We're seeking asylum." and being taken away in buses and SUVs. Not the people attacking as they...
Exactly.
What did you think of when you heard that mischaracterization? Because she acted like, oh, is that the big bad wolf?
Yeah. It's actually, it was part of the, by this point in this show, it was obvious that it was a propaganda piece because they were planting all these ideas that people just want to leave their country, they want a better place to live. And, so it was spinning what they've been talking about. When it came to Border Angels, it was like the organization is going to seize this opportunity to get publicity. And being on some sort of cable show is going to spread, especially a fluff piece that has a lot of propaganda in it, is going to spread their message around. And their hope is they're going to get donations. They're going to get funding. They're going to get money pouring in. They're going to get people sending them checks, which is what they really want, and so they can continue their crime and the stuff they do. And so by this point in the show, I already knew it was all propaganda. And it was like, and Sydney's like, oh, how will they spin this? Oh, tell me more. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Sydney wanted to do a show right away, and we were leaving the next morning for Thanksgiving. Gonna go spend time with family. We just didn't have time to put it together, so we put it together for this weekend. So, it's been very entertaining so far, but there's still more. Believe me, there's still more. And
I want you to, I want to show you what Paloma participated in, because I told people, she was in this movie with this director that was a signer onto Refuse Fascism, one of the organizations that came out of the leadership from Standing Rock, including Michael A. Wood Jr., Chase Iron Eyes, and one of the Weather Underground terrorists, Bill Ayers, domestic terrorist Bill Ayers. And people were like, so what? She was in the movie. Who cares? I'm like, yeah, but this director was only doing films that were pro-immigrant. Okay, I guess it doesn't matter. Well, if you guys don't care about that, if that doesn't seem significant or important to you, what about the fact that she was the primary reason that Maria Mesa got expedited entrance and her 5 kids into the United States, when she says that she's against that? Mm-hmm. How did she end up, helping it happen? And being at the right place at the right time where all of these things are taking place. And she's talking to the same people in the leadership of the migrant caravans working with the smugglers in the smuggling operation.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Or she's friends with one of the people in the smuggling operation of Pueblos Sin Fronteras. Or the fact that she lied about knowing Ivan Riebling, another smuggler. And once you start to look at all of the things, the fact that she put videos of herself in which she is talking about and capturing her husband, Gene Faraon, discussing how the stupid border customs and border enforcement agents, they don't pay close enough attention to the documents that are used to certify purchase of boats and other vehicles crossed into the United States. All they have to see is the notary public stamp, official looking stamp that they're going to go and get with these false documents at the boat and vehicle DMV place, registry place. And so many other different admissions of crimes and other things that she has foolishly posted about herself all over the interwebs. Mm-hmm. None of that seemed to have stopped some very naive or foolish people from continuing to support this woman no matter what. But the fact that she continues to this day to participate with the same people that are part of this propaganda spin machine that is so harmful. This is so harmful to our country, to our sovereignty, to immigration policy, to the building of the wall, to everything. Look at how they were describing the wall location. They showed drone footage and said they pretended it was CBP drone footage. Obviously, it's not. It's their own. Mm-hmm. But they basically showed the concertina wire, the wall, and everything, and called it a military zone. Mm-hmm. You were there. Did it feel like a military zone to you when you were walking up and down that boardwalk?
No, it wasn't. It was a tourist area. It was a place that had shops and food, and the beach was right there, and people were hanging out. Families were spending their afternoon or early evening there, and people go there on the weekends with their kids and all this sort of stuff. It was not a military zone.
How many military personnel did you see?
At the playas? None that I can remember.
I'm just saying, they made it sound like something it absolutely isn't. And it was ridiculous because the contrast of what was on the video of people and kids just hanging out was so stark. And Mary imagines what it would be like to have to, see people in this way through a wall. And she compares it to being in a jail. Having to go through a jail visit, except all the people on both sides are free.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she compared it to jail. Again, it's all about the drama factor in this, which includes the fact that they perform a communion-like, mass-like charade in this border church that isn't really a church, as they tell you themselves. So they pass out the bread and they pass out the wine. People like Enrique Morones from Border Angels, former executive director of Border Angels, will be standing by to, hand you the goblet of grape juice or a piece of
graham cracker
or French bread or whatever they're handing out, animals crackers that they're handing out over there. I don't know. They also pray or pretend to pray, these women.
Yeah.
In their very, very tight clothing at their fake border church. They're having these moments, and of course they again look very somber. Some of them look like they might be crying or on the verge of crying. Other people there do cry. And then they go and deliver donations. Guess where they go, Duke? This picture right here gave me the tip off of exactly where they were, because of the yellow on the fringe of the stairs.
Yes.
I recognized from a video by Oscar El Blue Ramirez, a video he bravely took at the Caritas shelter. He went there and filmed the BS Yes We Can bus.
Oh, yeah.
With the actress Estefania Rebelón. Remember her? One of the many actresses on the D list or on the upstart involved in all this nonsense, besides Pendeja for Fraud. And Oscar captured all of these people in the media that are close to the pastor of this border church, and also close to the Caritas shelter, and also, connected to the new shelter, the butterfly shelter, and the one what's called Puente, the bridge that was recently abandoned by Oviedo after he got his asylum.
Yeah.
Thank you to you, Big Troll, for all of your support. To all of you guys that are supporting our super chat tonight. Do you see the deceit? Do you see the circle, the connection in this network? It is clear to me. It is so clear to me. They've all raised their hands. Remember who else visited this same border shelter over there at the cafe? Remember who went over to that same cafe, the same exact steps retraced. Border undocumented cafe, where they talk about the cafe, and then they go over to the border shelter of Hugo Castro.
Yeah.
It was Paloma.
Yep. And the Arizona Patriots.
She received a welcome similar to the Cartel Cruise ladies. Paloma and Jen were greeted like, yes, ladies, come in. Come on in. They did the same exact thing. They went to the undocumented cafe first, and then they went over to the border shelter. And there are no coincidences. When I saw that, I knew everything I needed to know. I was like, oh, shoot. Wow. And they also talked about at this shelter, they have the same mural that they have on the Border Angels shelter, the wings. You can see it behind this man carrying supplies in.
Yeah.
And I remember the same thing from the video of the volunteers working with Evan Duke and Myron Dewey, bringing supplies across with Bertie Gutierrez's organization, Bridges of Love Across Borders.
I remember that.
And the supply chain that was going between Mark Lane, San Diego, Minority Humanitarian Foundation, Mohammed Al-Nakib, and all those folks, and the Caritas shelter on the U.S. side and the other shelters on the U.S. side. And this is one of the videos I showed. You'll see the same wings. Mm-hmm. This is the same shelter. They've been getting these supplies for the people that go and get their smuggling services through this shelter or that shelter run by this giant operation with Pueblos Sin Fronteras. And here's that clip. Her name is something Wong. I can't remember what this lady's name is. There's Letty Herrera from Caritas Shelter. Mm-hmm. And
showing two people.
This is the shelter. You'll see the shelter stairs in this video at some point. There's the wings in the background. Mm-hmm. Same place. There's the there's the stairs. See the stairs in the
stairs. Mm-hmm. Yellow stairs
in the background.
Mm-hmm.
This place gets all the attention. There are the stairs in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, this is a city to which people get deported every day, sometimes by the hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
Mexican nationals who get dumped into Tijuana, and many who are not from that part of the country have to find their own way home. And there aren't enough shelters for them. There isn't the services, the care. There never has been. Those people have had to get on their feet quick and, figure out a way to get money to get back home.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever cared to do anything for them or to get them out of their plight. Meanwhile, there are American organizations with very close political ties to the governor of California and many other politicians within the city of San Diego, like Mark Lane and the Minority Humanitarian Foundation, that are getting massive media attention and taking on projects to run shelters like they posted on their Facebook on their website that they do for the Caritas shelter.
Huh.
Right at the bottom it says this is their project, their relief project in Tijuana.
Yep.
They want you to know, by the way, these organizations that are operating in Tijuana in these shady ways, in these activism and politically motivated ways, which, by the way, is against the Mexican Constitution.
Huh.
And they're saying it's all under the guise of helping the brown-skinned people. Oh, by the way, you have to protect the brown-skinned people from the other brown-skinned people because the Mexicans are racist and they don't take good care of the migrants. And by the way, Mexico is a short hole. So these people can't stay there. And they latch on to anything and everything that suits their message and their agenda. In this picture, you'll see the kids running up the stairway in the actual Cartel cruise. Mm-hmm. And they're so happy. They're taking all of these things into the shelter. And then one of the family members walks up, and the cameras happen to capture a very tearful tale of woe, in which a woman is heard saying how the authorities told her, the people that were smuggling her told her to fork a dude.
Really?
Yes, forking a dude was the way that she was going to be able to either get out of the situation.
That's a solution.
Yeah, what that implies is some kind of sexual quid pro quo. Mm-hmm. We heard that.
Yeah.
Migrants had to do that in order to pay their smugglers, or things like that happen. And then she talked about how they managed to get into the U.S. to request asylum, and they put them in those detention facilities, and ICE put them into ICE and attacked them and insulted them. She said that they short of beating them, that's how badly, just a short of a beating is how badly they were treated. The only thing that was left for them to do, all the other things you can imagine them doing to them, short of a beating, they did.
Wow.
Which sounds pretty horrible, right? And then one of these women, and then she tells the story of, her child being disabled and needing medical attention because she has some kind of leg deformity or something. And the woman currently on screen, whose name I can't remember, I think it's Betty, she says, oh, I have a friend who's a doctor and I could
hook you up.
Yeah. And she said, I'll offer a doctor to help you. And then this woman tearfully starts crying like, oh, that's amazing. The only reason I came to the United States was so that my daughter could get medical treatment. And I promised God that once I got her that medical treatment, I was out of here. I promised God that I was just going to be here until my daughter learned to walk and got the treatment that she needed. And then I'm leaving. I'm not even staying.
Yep.
And then the other ladies around the woman that offered the doctor start whispering and going, tell her to stop doing that. She's playing God. She's, like, we're not here to do that. We're not here to make false promises or offer things. That's exactly what this whole video is about. Oh my God, these cartel hoes know nothing, literally nothing about the whole immigration situation at the border. And they did a whole propaganda show featuring the worst offenders, the worst exploiters in the biz at the border currently.
Yeah.
All rolled up into a neat little package that even includes a failed cameo appearance by her, pendeja for fraud wearing hooker shoes that she couldn't walk in. This is when the sad combination of all of those extra cakes and her hooker shoes brought her down, literally.
Exactly, yeah.
But again, this was just an opportunity for Gaba Cortez and all her Hollywood and media contacts to put them in the spotlight while Ugo lurks around behind all of these, plastic boobed.
Yeah, he's out there gawking the whole time.
Lurking at them with that stupid grin. And then at the very end, as the poop cherry on top of this whole horrible propaganda nightmare, Ugo goes out to thank them one final time before they leave, and he tells them that they were so brave to, even come into the country.
That's right. The most
and more
dangerous city in
so
the world.
to, they didn't have to do this show featuring what's really going on, but they did. And so he wants to thank them, and he tells them they're the true border angels.
Yes.
He carries the name Border Angels because they're out there trying to, be border, angels, but the true border angels is the cartel cruise ladies.
Yeah.
It's so stupid he can't even keep from laughing while he tries to say it. You can kind of catch him trying to deliver that line without bursting into laughter. And then he says that, the border angels that he volunteers for, he's just out here volunteering still, Duke. He's not earning money.
That's right.
They're just trying to earn spiritual points. They want to earn points with God.
Yeah.
For what they do. And then Michael is ears deep into a bag of weed that is a preview for their next show.
That's right.
And they're literally exchanging money in a back alley for a purchase of what looks like to be duffel bags full of I don't know what
Cash.
And then at the very end, they're going flash forwarding to the next show where they're talking about that teary-eyed promise in the shelter
of the doctor.
And again, one of the ladies critiques the lady that made the offer and says, "You're playing God. You can't do that." And the lady stands up, she flips over the table. They start throwing things at each other.
Yeah.
And just like a Jerry Springer episode, security guards rush in to keep them from, hurting each other, breaking their fake nails off in each other's faces.
Yeah, getting a scratch.
The same drama that you heard them say they were going to totally avoid.
Mm-hmm.
It's what their whole show is made of. It's what these people are hired for. They're con artivists. They're con men, criminals with a history of doing bad television or movie acting. That's what they are. And there's a market for them.
Yeah, for sure.
There's even a market for them in politics. And I told you one of those people recently promoted by Pendeja for Fraud, Omar Navarro, was such a person. He had no intent of actually winning or even trying to win Maxine Waters' seat. He's just there for the money and for the for the nice Rolex and the nice suit. Breaking news, folks. He can't help himself, just like Paloma, just like these people cannot help themselves, cannot help telling on themselves. He got himself arrested. Omar Navarro went to jail because he had to go and stalk his ex. Here's the arrest record showing you that he went to county jail, Duke. $75,000 bond.
Oh,
is that a big bond? Is that a little bond?
Well, it's $75,000, kind of big.
Look at the charges. There's more than one statute being brought here. One of them is stalking, but there's also criminal threats.
Yeah. Wow.
And there's also disobeying domestic relations. So he violated a previous order
for protection, and also attempted extortion.
Attempted extortion.
Oh my God.
Who does that sound like?
A friend wants to know.
Sounds to me like his buddy, Paloma for Fraud. She sounds just like that. Many of those things have been said about her. And the stalking part is especially familiar because Navarro cannot help but follow his ex, Deanna Lorraine, around. And he flew. One of the most disturbing facts about this whole thing is that he wasn't in the same city as she was. He flew there to do this stalking.
Oh my God. Wow.
Exclusively. He found out where she was staying and he went over there. Cops say in the vicinity, according to comments on this post, the cops say that it was bad. Like what they were able to determine he was doing was bad.
Pretty bad.
In that area. They can't say what it was, but they said it was pretty bad. And the story is he went to San Francisco. He found the address. And this woman had to get a restraining order against him earlier. If you recall, he alleged that she was doing drugs with the Proud Boys and tried to attack her at a bar.
Oh, yeah,
that nonsense?
Oh, I remember that.
And she said she was going to get a restraining order. Well, he found out where she lived and violated by going to her house anyway.
Wow.
And it says that she had gotten home from a Christmas party and he flew up from Los Angeles and he was lurking outside the house wearing a black hoodie. And then she called 911.
Oh my God. The cops came and arrested him. Oh my God.
This is Paloma's friend, the guy she was just promoting in her drunk video.
Yeah. That's still up too on her YouTube channel. That video's still there.
I don't mind if I had the hiccups.
Oh, it's the hiccup video, and it's like she's in his house promoting Navarro. Yeah.
It is funny that the curse of Paloma promotion has struck Navarro again. Because anytime this woman is with people, they end up in jail. If the curse of Paloma wasn't so heavily supported by so many of the people, the con artivists and criminals in the Border Support Network, I would tell you it's a curse akin to magic. But the fact is that she has The uncanny ability of turning everything she touches into poo. If she comes near your business, your live stream, your whatever, she's going to try to tear it down. She could be a hit woman, the accuracy this person has for turning everything she touches into poo. Apparently, Omar Navarro is a chip off the old block because he too can't seem to keep friends. Somebody in the comments of this thread criticized his closeness to Sheriff Arpaio, as well as Roger Stone, who, as you know, endorsed him.
Yeah.
Endorsed him. And of course, if they have a fraud running around saying that she loves Joe Arpaio. And, posting her pictures of him and her endorsements of losers and criminals and stalkers like Navarro. Why does she support them? Birds of a feather flock together. What did I show you in that group of felons that I exposed on my show about these Standing Rock phonies? Huh? Why would a rapist, a known rapist be allowed to be co-founder and director of any kind of a movement for missing and murdered Indigenous women? Oh, well, because the other guy that founded the group with him is also a former rapist. It just stands to reason. These people fraud together. They lie together. They crime together. The most recent of her posts, in which Paloma proves once again that she constantly has her hand out asking for money, she gives a convoluted story about her dog.
Yeah.
Did you read this thing?
Oh, I have to read this. Great.
No. I just wanted to know if you read it.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Do you know what it's about?
Yeah.
Can you tell people what it's about?
Well, it's about the dogs, and she's done with school now. Now she's gonna focus on the dogs. And she needs more food and all that sort of stuff, and they're gonna need to be neutered and spayed and all that sort of stuff. So she has a dogs Paloma for Trump at gmail.com. Just please donate to that. And incidentally, her Paloma for Trump dogs page on Facebook can be reached right now. It's temporarily shut off, or she's holding it back or something. But she, doing an ad, and she says she needs help with her dogs, and school is done. The semester's done.
One of her 47 dogs.
Yeah.
Or however many dogs she is hoarding currently. He needs a veranda.
Yeah, he needs a veranda.
Yeah, he needs a separate veranda from the rest of the dogs. In the dog mansion that she builds for her dogs that she loves so much. She loves them so much. I don't believe, from the testimony I've heard from people that actually have seen her dogs physically, that this woman should have access to anything with a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I don't think that she can take care of life, period. It's terrifying to me that she not only has access to so many animals, which is typical hoarding behavior, but also kind of like Munchausen's by proxy on pets, because these animals cannot defend themselves. They can't speak out about the atrocities of living with Paloma. So it's sick to me that for her to continue to make money off of something that she has used to basically, emotionally blackmail hundreds, if not thousands of dollars off of numerous American patriots because they wanted to help animals. They just wanted to help dogs. And you know that every time you keep paying the ransom, every time you keep paying out to these kinds of frauds, all you're doing is reinforcing their behavior. When Navarro went to Tijuana, or when they went to Tijuana, the shelter in Tijuana, go to the next slide, please. When Paloma went to the Tijuana shelter with Jen, was around the very same time that all of this happened in the summer. If you'll recall, they made a whole day of it. And not too long thereafter, again, Jen went to jail.
That's right.
So learn from the curse of Paloma. If you do stuff with her, you might go to jail.
Exactly.
And then, of course, Navarro is outed. This is the most shocking stuff you will ever see tonight. Interesting and shocking. So in the Gateway Pundit, they published a story about this whole fiasco with Navarro getting arrested for extortion, stalking, criminal threats of a GOP congressional candidate, which was his ex, Lorraine. And that's her last name, by the way. Deanne Lorraine, I think, is her full name. And then they quote what Lorraine says she pleaded with Omar to do, which was to stop contacting her. And, it included him stopping harassment either through friends or family or through surveillance or through the internet. And then it goes on to say something even more interesting, which is that Navarro he done a bunch of creepy things that included finding her address in San Francisco, which then he flew to from LA so that he could go stalk her in a hoodie out in her yard. 2, claimed he had given her address to local Antifa members, encouraging them to show up at her place. 3, threatened with destroying her or getting her evicted from her apartment, publishing more nude photos of her, and stealing her cat, kidnapping her 89-year-old grandmother, etc.
Oh my God.
These totally sound like Paloma tactics.
Uh-huh.
Then it says he even offered to pay her $25,000+ to marry him.
Really?
That sounds creepy. And finally, and this is the one that I found most interesting because of what and who it is implying that was involved in this. It says he told her many times that he has paid and will continue to pay thousands of dollars to private detectives to follow her around and thousands of dollars to professional trolls to harass her, defame her, and otherwise make her life hell. He bragged about having hundreds of thousands of dollars in his personal bank account from campaign donors' money that he wanted to use on her. All that money I was going to get to defeat Maxine Water,
It's going to trolls. It's going to you.
I'm giving it to Paloma so she can make your life a living hell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I have it from an inside source that the person being referred to, one of the many people being referred to that were being paid trolls to help harass and threaten a congressional candidate is pendeja for fraud. Is pendeja for fraud. So, well, I mean, he's paying money to anyone and everyone, and who has their hand out asking for a handout, literally asking for money for a veranda for her dog.
Her dogs, yeah.
Who is the most prolific violator of that which she claims to do so much, which she claims that she doesn't do? Ask for a handout. Begging online for money. Being pathetic online for money. It's you, girl. It's you, Paloma. And so it seems like the marriage of these two shows, the propaganda that they seek to share and the POSs that they expose in the process, I thought was really a great combination. So thank you for coming and sharing this information with your friends, with your family. Make sure that people expose what the propaganda is behind this show and behind these frauds that appeared in the Cartel cruise and that have very much to do with local politics, especially in California, like Omar Navarro, the guy that was promoted by Paloma recently.
Exactly.
It all ended very, very poorly for all these folks. We'll have more on our next show. Thank you for being with us tonight here on A Mexican Crossing Lines with your host, Cindy Gomez-Schempp.
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You've been listening to 88.1 FM KPPPLP Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. Watch out, folks. Stay safe out there. Stay inside. Call the cops if you see any black hoodies in your yard.
Yep, watch out for black hoodies.